Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. James Gunn and DC just released a first look at Supergirl and confirmed what's going on with her during the Superman movie, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. In the other really good news, there's going to be a bunch of new trailers at the Super Bowl. We're supposed to get a brand new Superman trailer with a bunch more footage. Of course, I will do all the videos for whatever they wind up releasing. I am sure I will probably not sleep for a couple days, which is pretty usual. Most of you remember Millie Alcock, who's playing Supergirl from House of the Dragon as the young version of Rhaenyra. She was featured a couple times during Season 2, but mostly just during Season 1. There's a couple of things that she's done you probably remember her for, but really like the Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon stuff is the big thing that she's known for recently. James Gunn confirmed she will cameo during the Superman movie. There have been a couple places in the previous trailers that people think that they've spotted her in the background of shots, and maybe they're just pulling a Marvel, because James Gunn literally just came from Marvel, and they tactically remove stuff from trailers so it doesn't give away spoilers. They are famous for their misleading trailers. The only thing about that, if we're talking about DC just in general, just like the history of DC, I don't remember them ever doing this over there with like really misleading things and CG shots. Even recently during the Zack Snyder era, like Justice League, Batman v Superman, even as far back as the Man of Steel movie, if we're comparing Superman movie to Superman movie, personally, I don't recall him ever doing anything really misleading in trailers. Like, the big thing during Batman v Superman was the Doomsday reveal. Like, he actually put that legit in the final big trailer. He wasn't trying to hide that or anything. Marvel, on the other hand, will hide stuff all the time in plain sight by literally just removing it, photoshopping it out of trailers.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
But the reasons why James Gunn revealed the actual scene of Millie Alcock as Supergirl and confirmed that she does cameo in the Superman movie, because why would he reveal that unless he absolutely had to? It's because he cast Supergirl's parents for the Superman movie, and why would they be in the movie without Supergirl herself also being in the movie? It's going to be David Krumholtz as her father and Emily Beecham as her mother, but here's the thing, did not confirm whether or not it was her Kryptonian parents or her human parents on Earth, or if she'll have human parents inside the DCU. My assumption right now is it'll be her human parents explaining why they meet up at the end of the movie and she is on Earth when a lot of this is happening, or she comes back to Earth when this is happening. Like when the movie picks up, her pod has already come to Earth, Superman has already met her in the past, because this isn't meant to be the first year as Superman. He's been Superman for a little while when the movie picks up. Way back in the time before time, during the Arrowverse, they did both her human parents and her Kryptonian parents with the CW version of the character. Helen Slater from the Supergirl 1980s movie came back to be that mother, and Dean Cain, also a former Superman, came back to be her human father. Her Kryptonian parents were played by completely different people. In a really big Smallville Superman deep cut, at a certain point in the later seasons, they recast her mother Allura with, of all people, Erica Durance. She even got to meet with her after a couple big twists on those shows. Usually when people think about them bringing Smallville back inside the Arrowverse, they're thinking about Crisis on Infinite Earths with Tom Welling, Superman, coming back for those episodes. Erica Durance also came back when they canonized the Smallville Earth to the Arrowverse through those, but it was her original version of Lois Lane. They used the multiverse twist to explain how Erica Durance could play those two completely different characters. Was kind of bummed that Tom Welling only came back for that one Crisis on Infinite Earths time. Would have been cool to see him cameo as a couple other characters if they were using all those multiverse twists this whole time. There are already a couple special cameos like this in the Superman movie that we found out about. The ones that James Gunn has confirmed so far is one from one of Christopher Reeve's sons and one from the grandsons of Siegel and Schuster in a completely separate scene. But I think part of the idea is that whatever Supergirl's been doing for most of the events of the Superman movie, he doesn't have her to help out, and she shows up for real to join him at the end of the movie briefly, or in some kind of post-credit scene to set up the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. All because that's literally the next big movie James Gunn is releasing in the DCU after Superman, but it's not coming out till 2026. So I don't know if he's going to pull the Marvel thing where they tease the next movie in like a post-credit scene at the end of the previous movie. More likely what he'll do is he'll just sort of fold her naturally into the movie and they'll just imply what's happening with her next. So it won't be like a Marvel Phase 1 kind of thing where they're literally telling you, here's a scene from that next movie at the end of this movie. You'll just see the two of them together and maybe there'll be some allusion to what she's doing in the near future, and then they just pick up in the events of the Supergirl movie with her doing those things. This is the other reason why they released this first look, because the actual scene of Supergirl takes place at the very beginning of the Supergirl movie, and what's happening in the actual scene that they're filming here, you can see it behind her even though she's facing away from the camera. You notice she's wearing a jacket over her Supergirl suit. She's actually inside a place called the Whale Tower, which is like a space bar on the other side of the universe, celebrating her 21st birthday, getting drunk as hell. That's right, Supergirl and Superman can get drunk under certain circumstances. It just takes a lot of booze. That movie is based on the Tom King Woman of Tomorrow comic book, and at the beginning of that story, the main villain of the movie, Krem of the Yellow Hills, played by this actor here, kills a farmer, then runs away leaving his sword impaled in the farmer's chest. His daughter, Ruthie, finds his body, then goes on a revenge quest to hire someone to kill him at the Whale Tower nearby. The first person she asks takes her sword from her, slaps her around, and tells her to forget about it and tries to leave with the sword. Supergirl stops him, drunk as hell, orders him to give the sword back, then he tries very unsuccessfully to kill her because she's Supergirl, she's super strong. He slashes her with the sword, but it just bounces off of her, destroying her clothing, revealing her Supergirl symbol underneath her outer jacket here. She winds up beating the hell out of him and then eventually helping Ruthie. So it's a little bit like vibes of the Man of Steel movie with Henry Cavill. If you remember at the beginning of that film, when he's at the bar and those people try to start some shit with him, he winds up turning the other cheek, but in the Supergirl movie, she definitely does not turn the other cheek because she's drunk as hell. So even though she has a no-kill rule that she makes a big deal about during the movie, she beats the hell out of them and then eventually helps Ruthie. The other really surprising twist, recently you might have seen Sebastian Stan was just talking about the Supergirl movie in real life.
You know what movie I'm really excited for? Supergirl.
Yes.
That movie, I'm going to raise the bar. That movie is going to be great because it's got Craig Gillespie directing it, who's an unbelievable director, and I think that I'm very excited about that movie. But I grew up with the Tim Burton Batman and Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Those were big movies for me as a kid growing up.
I'm not expecting him to show up in the Supergirl movie because he's going to be so busy doing Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret War stuff, just like a lot of Marvel movie, big universe-spanning universe consequences stuff happening the next couple of years over in that cinematic universe. Robert Downey Jr. has a whole lot of universes to destroy during those movies, making all the reboot puns as possible because James Gunn essentially rebooted the DCEU into the DCU. They're kind of doing something similar with the Marvel universe with those next couple of Avengers movies. But very apropos for what's happening with all this, especially over at Marvel, over at DC with all these reboots, is that James Gunn just announced that Jason Momoa was going to survive the reboot from the DCEU and coming back in the DCU, but as the Lobo character, not as Aquaman. That was why he made the whole announcement. Like, oh, by the way, he's coming back as Lobo because it's too perfect of a casting. He was destined to always be Lobo. He should have been Lobo in the first place, even in the Zack Snyder era of the movies. He even said something to the same effect himself when he was originally auditioning for Zack Snyder for Batman v Superman. That was when he was first cast as Aquaman. They didn't actually tell him who he was auditioning for, so when he was reading the scenes for his audition, he assumed that it was for Lobo. He assumed he was auditioning for Lobo in Batman v Superman. It's been a little while since I've read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow story from the comics that they're adapting for the movie, but I believe Lobo is not featured in the comic book. I think what they're doing is they're changing the story so when Krem realizes what's happened and it's Supergirl who's after him, he gets help from a regular bounty hunter at that Whale Tower Tavern. What they might change is just have Lobo be one of the random bounty hunters who's just having drinks at that tavern that Krem then hires to protect him from Supergirl. Because that would be way more interesting than the original comic book fight. Lobo would actually have a chance of beating her, because on a good day, he can hold his own against Superman. The other thing here too is that Krypto, the super dog, is a big part of the movie, so the question is what happens to Krypto at the end of the Superman movie that he goes off with Supergirl to the other side of the universe for her 21st birthday to watch her get drunk as hell. It's possible James Gunn just removed Krypto from that Supergirl story, but there are a couple key moments that he's a really important part of. The way that he's explained Krypto, just in general, inside the DCU now, is that Superman adopts him kind of like a rescue dog, but it's Krypto, like he has superpowers, and he's written as an analog of James Gunn's real-life rescue dog, Uzo, who he adopted while he was still writing the Superman movie. I'm not going to read his whole wall of text here about his rescue dog and how he inspired Krypto in the movies, but it's very, very tragic circumstances. If you've ever read about the conditions that people find rescue dogs in, it was really, really heartbreaking. James Gunn said that he spent a lot of time trying to just get the dog used to other people, being around other people, socializing, because he was destroying everything that James Gunn owned left and right. He destroyed a bunch of his laptops, all while he was trying to work on the Superman movie. So it sounds like there'll be some of that energy in Krypto during the movie where he just a very misbehaved dog who just destroys all kinds of stuff. But because it's Krypto, he has superpowers. He's like a literal dog tornado, which they'll probably use for some comedy. There are a couple scenes in some of the previous footage they shot in Cleveland where you see Mr. Terrific running around the streets in terror with a bunch of dog treats trying to pass them out. So maybe in these scenes he's just trying to get Krypto to help him out or getting Krypto to chill out at some point. But the idea at the end of the day is that ultimately he's a good boy. Like, they opened the trailer with Krypto literally helping Superman, taking him home, dragging him home by the cape. It'll be interesting to see how they explain this too, because Krypto can't fly. But it sounds like the next big trailer that they release for Superman at the Super Bowl will have completely different footage, so hopefully we'll get a look at some of the other characters, what's going on with the actual story of the movie, maybe some of these big reveals too. I'm not expecting to see a lot of Supergirl because I think they want to keep it on more of the core characters, and I don't think that she's a core character of the Superman movie. I think she's just in it for a little bit. We'll probably get at least 2 or 3 big trailers from Marvel and DC, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel to be the first to watch those. Everybody click here for that other brand new Superman trailer, and click here for my brand new Flash video too, to learn about the new DCU version of The Flash. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.